What are your impressions from today's meeting, and how hopeful are you that women and girls in Ghana are going to be getting some relief from the cost of menstrual pads?
Right. I mean, so coming into this meeting, following the advocacy and policy around the removal of the taxes, we hadn't seen any major price changes. So coming into this meeting, I would say probably I was not so hopeful. Came into the meeting a bit charged and angry, because we did have some of the manufacturers and the key stakeholders, GRA, AGI, in the room. However, following the discussions that we've had, I think there is some hope. We've made good progress. We did come to understand the gap, especially that even though there was the removal at the end user point, at the imports section, there was still the 21.9 VAT that manufacturers had to pay. And even though they were enjoying the 5% removal, that still meant that there will still be some price increases. But from AGI's perspective, if they are able to apply for the frontline relief, then it means that they can actually enjoy that as well. And that means that hopefully in the future we should see some substantial price reduction. Although, of course, this would be heavily dependent on the manufacturers. And so now, beyond what government has done, a bulk will have to be on the manufacturers' willingness and their ability to also make those adjustments to reflect whatever profit gains or cost reductions that they are enjoying as a result of this law. And so very hopeful, but also keeping the manufacturers accountable. I think that's the big bulk of the next work for all of us. And so we'll be keeping an eye on that. We'll hopefully work with the GRA to see that they do adequate tracking. They are able to feed us with the information that we need, and we of course can then support in keeping the manufacturers accountable, and ultimately the end user can enjoy some profits. We don't foresee it happening maybe this year. That's the bit of the downside of it. But if you're thinking of sustainable progress and reducing period poverty in the long term, we can be hopeful for that, which is a good thing. Yeah.
Is you were one of the people that was really at it with AGI and the other manufacturers. Moving forward, how do you foresee things turning out? How do you foresee CSOs being able to hold them accountable based on the discussions you've had with them today? I mean, you as a person had a lot of back and forth with them. How do you foresee things changing?
Right. So, I mean, I think that's from the conversations that we've had, that there might be a bit of differing expectations. What we anticipated that this amendment of the act would mean, and what they, looking at their business perspective and other costs beyond the act's amendment or the taxes, might still influence their prices. So there is that differing expectation, which meant that in as much as we thoughts or we expect that once there is a reduction of the taxes, there is a reduction in their costs, overall cost, there should be reduction for the end user. They are also looking at CIF, like freight cost, other costs, brand production costs that would also ultimately, and also the dollar fluctuation that also influences their cost, which as a business makes sense. But I think that ultimately for us as advocate, once we have had government commit to those tax removals, we expect to see a price reduction. And so we would definitely keep that conversation in as much as we understand them as businesses and the cost of production. We also are allowed to have some expectations, because the advocacy that we've done has yielded them some cost reduction. And so we are not wrong to demand price reduction. That is expected, and that should be what we should see. And so definitely some of the explanations that they gave obviously did not sit well with me. I don't think it sit well with the end user or the last mile that we think about when we are doing this advocacy. And so we'll definitely continuously engage, and we cannot just take some of the responses that we had today as the end of it. I don't think it's acceptable for them to give that. They should be able to commit to us that we must see some price reduction. I mean, we are not asking for flat price for all year round forever. We understand cost of production, and so we can in that sense also understand that the tax removals must come with end user cost reduction as well, and so we would keep at it. We are happy that they are open to dialogue. That's a positive thing. We are happy that some like Faye have even taken some initiative for discounts for NGO, which is good. Not everybody, not every girl would have an NGO coming to donate. We currently do not have government buying parts for girls for free. So which means that parents and girls, poorer girls, the last mile, the hardest to reach are still buying. Some can still buy and they are still using unsanitary means. And so for that last mile, we cannot take certain excuses on the surface, but we need to continuously fight, and beyond government, we will continuously engage the manufacturers and ensure that they get to benefit from that. So yes, we had, I think it was a beautiful discourse with our disagreements, of course. We can't take what they say as that, and we would continuously keep fighting for the last mile. Yeah.
So it's an ongoing advocacy. Before you leave, please tell us your name and the organization you work with.
You mentioned my name. It's Saripra. I work with MSI Reproductive Choices, formerly Marriage Stops Ghana, as the Advocacy and Donor Relations Manager. Thank you.
I mentioned your name because you're my friend and I know you. Thank you so much, AC.